Welcome to the Rise and Shine podcast, brought to you by the Coalition on Adult Basic Education. I'm your host, Jeffrey Abramowitz, and for the next 5 days, we'll be celebrating Adult Education and Family Literacy Week. The Rise and Shine podcast will bring together national, state, and local leaders who are driving change in adult education. Each episode highlights inspiring stories, innovative strategies, and impactful policy efforts that advance literacy, workforce development, and lifelong learning opportunities for adults across the country. Tune in each morning this week to hear how communities are coming together to elevate adult learners and strengthen economic mobility through education. And now, let's get on with the podcast.
Good morning, Rise and Shine, America. My name is Jeff Abramowitz, and welcome to our last and final episode for 2025 for the Rise and Shine podcast. My name is Jeff Abramowitz. I've been your host all week, and we are at the end of a wonderful 5 days celebrating Adult Education and Family Literacy Week. And boy, do we have a great podcast for you today. We have 6 wonderful guests that are going to be talking all about adult education and the wonderful work that they're doing. I do hope that you have your cup of coffee with you today so we can get this day off started right. And just to recap, we've been here each day this week celebrating Adult Education and Family Literacy Week. I've done a bunch of shows from Washington, D.C., and now back in my hometown, finishing up today, but lots of thanks to go out to all the advocates across the country. And the one message I want to make clear today is that this may be ending Adult Education and Family Literacy Week, but truthfully, Adult Education and Family Literacy Week should be also every single day of the year. And we should be doing this work, showing America how important adult literacy, adult education is. Every single day that we're out there doing this work, talking to legislators, talking to our community members, talking to leaders and our students and our ambassadors and everyone else. So we hope that this is just the beginning and not the end for the advocacy work that's being done around the country. So we have a great show today, and I want to kick us off with Vincent Poore, who is the program director at Madisonville Community College, Adult Education. And Ashley, come on and join us. Come on, there you go.
Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning. It's great to see you. Got to see you live this week as well in Washington, D.C. So give it to us. How was your Adult Education and Family Literacy Week?
It really has been a great week. I enjoyed being in the Capitol and getting to make waves and share the great work that we do in adult education with decision makers. It was really a fun week.
I love it. So I want you to pretend for a second we're on ESPN. And this is your ESPN highlight reel, because I want to know, like, what happened this week. I know we have talked a little bit, and you shared it with me about some of the awesome things that happened. But walk us through what happened in D.C. and when you came home during the week.
While we were in D.C., we got to meet with the legislators from Kentucky and share with staffers what we've done and present an award to Senator Mitch McConnell's office for being a friend of adult ed. He signed the letter to support adult education funding, which was very key. Then when I got home, I was in the state capitol yesterday in Frankfurt for our quarterly meeting and Adult Education and Family Literacy Week celebration, where our First Lady of Kentucky was present, and I got to present the governor's award to her with another fellow from Kentucky from last year, and that was really cool. And she got to award our program with an award as well. We had gotten the top MSGs for a college program in Kentucky. So,
I love it. Congratulations.
Very nice week. Yeah, very proud.
That's a great way to end the week. I want to go back because I want to take us back to DC for a second. You got to go up on Capitol Hill. Was this your first time going on the Hill to
It
advocate?
was.
So
Yeah,
what'd
it
you
was.
think? What'd you
Uh,
think?
I was really overcome and overwhelmed hearing the stories from other people and being amongst the buildings from our country's history. I thought it was really amazing and humbling all at the same time.
So were you nervous?
I was very nervous. I was
Yeah.
very nervous. I'm very nervous now.
Well, this is
I'm
nothing. How, so tell me a little bit. Was it what you expected?
It was easier than I expected,
There
if
you
that
go.
makes sense. Navigating to the offices was one of the most difficult, probably because there are a lot of spaces and a lot of floors.
Yeah.
Um, but it was much better, and the staffers that I met with were very receptive to what we do, and they were encouraging, and it was not what I thought it would be.
Yeah, so I guess I'm curious about that too because I'm up there a lot, kind of I guess a little jaded to the whole system, like because I'm up there talking to people all the time, kind of you get familiar with people. But as somebody that doesn't do this all the time, I was wondering, did you feel heard? Did you feel like your presence made a difference there?
I did. I did. They took notes. They were very engaging. They asked questions. I do feel like it made a difference.
That's awesome. So, I'm so proud of you for your award for the from the state of Kentucky, which is truly amazing. What a great way to end the week. But what was the message that you were trying to send to your legislators about the work being done in Kentucky?
That we matter. I think sometimes that we're overlooked because we're not in the traditional K through 12, and we're not necessarily post secondary. So I think we're a little bit overlooked unintentionally sometimes. But that what we do matters. We break generational poverty. We give people opportunities and teach them more than math or reading. We give them a voice and a warm welcome. We're on a college campus at Madisonville Community College, so some of our students have never stepped foot on our college campus. So we give them a comfortable space to fall and the confidence to go to the next level.
So there's something about that too that I think is intriguing for a lot of students, adult learners that never even envisioned the possibility of going to college. And now it's in front of them. Like they're almost kind of living it because they're there. They may not necessarily be getting a college degree yet, but or going post-secondary, but they're in that game. And they're like, it's like they're in the minor league camp, minor league ball playing ball, and now they're
Mhm.
getting ready to go to the majors, waiting for that call up. And as soon as they get their high school diploma, they get to move on. And that's just so important for our adult learners to understand and that dynamic. It's really pretty amazing. How much of the messaging or what you were hearing in Washington was around workforce development and the blend of education and workforce development? And how is Kentucky and how are you guys dealing with some of that?
It is a workforce development program, certainly, and Kentucky sees that as we fall in the education and labor cabinet in our state. But I think that was the key. Even what we heard from other legislators that came in the room for the breakfast in DC to accept their awards, they talked about what an impact we make on the workforce, and um, and some of the partners that were there to speak were from different industries in the workforce to share the great work that adult ed programs have partnered to do with them.
I love it. I was in Kentucky and spoke at your adult education conference this year. And I will say, I've only been doing this work for 10 years. And over the 10 years that I've been doing it, but I can think back over my entire career, I don't think there was a more touching moment in my career than when I had the opportunity to speak at your conference. And I was there and spoke at Churchill Downs.
Mm.
And just before I spoke, the bugler from Churchill Downs got to play my old Kentucky home. And I was like, there was this like no, I was just gonna break down in tears. Like I just wanted to stop right there and not even go on. And it was really touching. But The hospitality in Kentucky was tremendous, and got to meet a lot of the players in the adult education field that were there, and really hear loud and clear from everybody how important adult literacy is in the state and what
Mhm.
you guys are doing to kind of make all that happen. So I know that you have a bunch of shout outs from people all around you, including some friends from Ohio that are on. So Kentucky is one of these places where, adult literacy is really, is a priority for the state. And, we need to make sure that it continues. But programs like yours are definitely the way to go. Secret sauce, if you could, what's the secret sauce in all this? Like, what is it that we should be that we should be thinking about when it comes to adult education and the message we want everybody to walk away with this week?
My favorite numbers bit from this week that I think is the secret sauce is that every $1 put into adult education comes back to the community as a $60 investment.
Hmm.
I think that was a really powerful message, thinking about the tax revenue, moving people off of government assistance and into jobs and careers. The opportunities that we can give in adult ed, it really makes a difference for not much funding.
Yeah, it does. I think it's super important to understand that too. I don't often think that people get a lot of the data points. Like we talk acronyms all the time.
Mhm.
WIOA and Title II fund. Like we talk all of it. But when you nail it down with those basic facts and you can really throw some numbers to it, I think you start getting people to raise their eyebrows. We were on, I know she's on today. Kathy Tracy Olson was on yesterday, and I was talking to Kathy about really the data points and how, we really have to make the case for adult education, but it's not that hard a case to make. Like it's easy to make when you have the data in front of you, and COABE makes that super simple for you, right? Did you
Yes,
use the fact sheets that we had on
I
the
did.
how did that work out for you?
It worked. It worked well. It was nice to have the bullet points and the fact sheets to share with the legislators that we spoke with. Just some ready-made stuff, even for Kentucky. I also included some local things that we'd put on our Facebook pages and some student stories locally that we had shared. And I think that was
Yeah.
impactful too.
Yeah, I wonder too, we talk about social media and getting your stories out there. Social media is used by many agencies to
Mhm.
kind of highlight the stories of your students. I always break out down when I see students that are in graduations. Like,
Mhm.
um, I was wondering, what does it look like from your end when you are when you go to graduation, what's that feeling like to see your students get up there and their families in the audience and they're watching mom or dad go up there or grandma, whoever it might be, kind of walk in or even parents. But I'm wondering, what's it like when you're, is there any way of possibly really explaining that?
It's very rewarding. We have graduation coming up next Friday, actually, for Hopkins County and Muhlenberg County the following Friday. So we'll be full steam ahead to celebrate for that. But it is so rewarding to see our students that we've seen go through this process, put on the cap and gown, and walk across with their family, often traveling back to town to support them. And last year, one of the mothers had not um, gotten to do graduation. So she put on her daughter's cap and gown and got a picture made too. And
I
that was
love
just
it.
really powerful to spot. I didn't know it was going to happen, but it was really powerful.
It really is strong stuff. I will tell you, one of the best memories I have happened last year for me when Pennsylvania, one of our students got Student of the Year, and she got up to get the award, and she was with her granddaughter.
Hmm.
And her granddaughter was as if grandma had just won the Super Bowl. Like she was just beaming ear to ear. And that's where you break that cycle of generational poverty and education and show the importance of it all. Ashley, last word. Like, what do you hope's going to happen tomorrow, the next day, when we talk about adult education?
I think tomorrow, I just hope that people have us in mind and think about our program and realize the great work that we do. And and I hope that that things in DC get all pushed through and funding is cleared to go for the next next session.
Absolutely. Well, on behalf of COABE and the state of Kentucky and everyone that's in the field, thank you so much for being an advocate. And congratulations to you, to your program. We look forward to hearing much more about what's going on in Kentucky in the year to come. And we appreciate you. So thanks for being on the podcast today, and thanks for helping us out with Adult Education and Family Literacy Week. We look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
You got it. Up next, we're going to a friend of mine who is also a board member of COABE, and I promised to be easy on her today because I understand she might be a little under the weather. But Kristin Hempel, how are you?
Good, thank
It,
you. Yes, I think I caught that DC cold. I'm willing to take the hits though, so that's fine. But
she took one for the team. I love it. I love it. So, Kristin, can you let everybody know you're Director of Leadership, President of CASE, and you wear so many other hats in Connecticut. But give us what's your main position in Connecticut?
so my paid position is that.
Let's go with that one first.
So I'm the director of a regional program in northeastern Connecticut. We serve a variety of small towns, but also a couple small urban centers too. So we have a wide range of learners, and are proud to partner with nonprofits and our municipalities. And we've had a great response really from those constituents during Adult Ed and Family Literacy Week in terms of proclamations and all of that. But yes, so that's my main role. I work this regional educational service center, so we provide a lot of other services too throughout my agency, which has been fantastic. So we have strong partnerships with Head Start and with the K-12 system in a variety of different ways. So that's my role.
So you guys kind of live by the philosophy that it takes a village, right? Because we know that adult learners, it's not just about getting to class, but it's providing that support for childcare and all those other things that stand in the way of them completing programming. And I love that you guys bring everybody to the table to make it all happen. You're a veteran in this space. You've been doing this work, and you're kind of one of the people that I look at as a leader in our country when it comes to adult education. And I was curious what your thoughts were about Adult Education and Family Literacy Week this week and being up in Washington and what the vibe was like.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll admit, going down there, I was feeling all the feels, right? There's a lot going on in our country right now, a lot of questions, and um, I wasn't sure what to expect when I got there. And my intention in going was really just to continue to thank our leaders for all the hard work that they're doing, and to tell them how much we appreciate for them, standing with us, and continuing to shine a light on the importance of adult education. And I gotta say, like the group in the prep room the night before, was getting all the goosebumps with the learners telling their stories, and just the passion throughout the country. All of these representatives from so many different states really, singing the same tune of how important this is and what a difference it makes, and that we're in this. We are here. What we're talking about, education for employment, that's central, and that really cuts across all of these different perspectives, and really unites us. So it felt like we were in some ways preaching to the choir, but glad to be doing it, because it's important to be reminded of our true north in those moments.
Yeah, I think it's the one thing that always gets me when you're in Washington is that, no matter what, no matter who you talk to, whatever party they may be in, it's sort of kind of irrelevant. Everyone in this country wants people smarter, and they want people back to work into real career pathways. And just saying thank you and letting them know there are people out there that are doing this work that are really passionate about it. Look, we had 130 plus people up on Capitol Hill this week that were just marching and singing the same tune to representatives and senators across Capitol Hill. And we really hope that the messaging gets out there, and and that, when that vote comes up and they don't see adult literacy, adult education funding on there, that they're gonna have that will to stand up and say, you know what, I saw Kristin Hempel and she's from Connecticut. She's in my district and she let me know what great work they're doing and how it's really changing lives of people all the time. I follow you on social media all the time, and one of the things that I find most exciting about some of your posts are you're always posting your success stories and your graduations and the people that are and your students, and it just makes it so real. You just feel it, and you know that you're changing somebody's life there. I was wondering, did you ever really sit down? We don't often, as educators and administrators, sit down and really take a look at the impact that we have. And I was wondering if you had a message for in the work that you do, like for the educators and administrators that are out there, what's the message to all of them?
Hmm. Um, I mean, just keep at it. Keep
Mm,
listening to your learners and what their goals are, and to your partners in the community. One of the moments of synergy that I had on the Hill was when I was talking with Congressman Courtney about some of the work that we're doing now. We do a lot of work with some of the pipeline programs here with our Title I partners. And one of the pieces we just kicked off actually was an NCCER training, right, with our learners so they could get into the construction fields. And I was talking to him about that, and his eyes lit up, and he said,
mm,
just this morning, I was talking with a building association, and they were talking to me about their need for employees. Let's make this connection, And so you just don't know who your supporters are going to be, where that next connection, that next partnership is going to be. So you need to get out and talk about it, and you need to talk about it with people in your Chamber of Commerce meetings. You need to talk to people about it in your Department of Ed meetings. You need to talk to people about it when you go out to dinner. You just never know where that next partnership is going to come from and what it's going to mean for your learners. And we, one of the posts we're putting out is a learner of ours who, came to us a couple years ago, didn't know much English. She now just I think last week got her citizenship,
Mhm.
and so hearing those stories, and she was actually part of our IELCE cohort last year and worked on her entrepreneurship certificate, also something that we got hooked up with through COABE. And she's been starting a small business to sell baklava. I mean, these are the things that make a difference in the lives of our learners, in their families, and in our communities. It brings hope and inspiration to everybody. It keeps Main Streets alive with these small businesses that people are starting. It gives students, when they look at their parents, when they look at their older siblings, fighting through and accomplishing goals, even though it was hard, it gives them that strength to do the same thing. And it helps bring communities together too, because, we're now making, partnerships and connections with our local builders who are like, oh, I didn't know about adult ed.
mm.
And they wouldn't have if we hadn't, reached out specifically around some of this. So we're looking forward to our graduation next week. And we're looking forward to where this, connection through Joe Courtney will take us and our learners. But we're just always looking for the next opportunity, the next way to support people.
And I think that's one of the big messages that comes from Adult Education and Family Literacy Week through COABE is that everyone in our country that's doing this work can't be up on Capitol Hill. But that doesn't mean you can't be an advocate. If you talk about adult literacy and adult education in your communities, when you're out to dinner, when you're at these places, you just never know who's listening. And that's what's really remarkable about all this. We did have Kathy Tyler on from NCCER this week, and she was a great guest on our podcast and definitely shared about the great work that they're being done, really helping people build that credential to get in the
Mhm.
construction field and what that really means for a lot of people, which is not just a job, but a career, and allowing them to kind of build their future, which is truly absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
You do so much work for COABE, and I'm always in awe because you always are coming up with these great ideas. But recently, there's a position change at
Yeah.
COABE, and I was wondering if you could tell everybody what your new role is there.
Well, yeah, I'm very excited about this transformation that COABE is going through. I know that the board worked really hard, really did some soul searching, really listened to the field as a whole as we tried to align what we look like as a board to the priorities that we're hearing from the communities that we serve. So I'm now the director of leadership, and we really understand leadership in a broad sense. It's not a position. We all are leaders. And there is the opportunity for all of us to step in and take up that mantle. And part of what we need to be doing at COABE is helping people to see the different ways that they can take that up and the different places and the different levers that they can pull. One of the new initiatives that I'm excited about is this initiative called Local. So it's lifting our communities through advocacy and leadership. And in that space, we're really going to be looking at how can we support leadership at the local level, really helping the teachers, the staff, the programs think about how are you being leaders in your community, really making that distinction that you're talking about. It's critical. It's critical that we're working at the national level and at the state level, but we also need to be deeply embedded and connected at the local level, and we can't lose sight of that. So we have some amazing programs already addressing national and state efforts. And so I'm excited to take this next step and see it all tie together. One of the pieces that I'll be working on and we'll be putting out an all call in the next few months for people to join and helping with this is looking at building out a toolkit for new program directors and what they should be thinking about and engaging with, what questions they should be asking, how to make some of those connections, because adult education is a different space than a lot of the positions many of my colleagues have been trained for, and it requires some additional support and COABE's in a position to create those networks and to help people figure it out as a community. So I'm excited.
No, I know, and I'm excited to see it happen too. I know that, leadership is something that, if we can support some of the people that are on the ground that are doing this work, and we can actually give them the tools and resources that they need, it filters down and it goes all the way to their teachers and goes to their students and all the way down. And it's amazing to see this movement. One of the things I think I'm most proud of about COABE, and I'm curious to get your opinion on, is that at our last conference, I saw this incredible surge of students that were there. And it made it all real. Like oftentimes you go to these conferences and you're with the admins and the EDs and some of the teachers, but you don't really get to see the product, like what it really comes down to. And I was wondering how you felt about, what you saw with the ambassadors, the student ambassadors that showed up at our conference this year.
It has been quite a journey, right? I mean, just a few years ago, I remember when we first threw out the idea of a summit on the first day, and trying to get a lot of people in, and it was like, could we do it? Would they come? And then we had Nashville, and they came, and people were telling their stories and making these connections, and starting to really feel like a movement that it was not just individuals that have been trained to tell their stories, but they are coming together as a group and seeing those ways to support and uplift each other as they uplift the field. And then, here we go to Texas, and I guess they were right. Everything's bigger in Texas because we really blew it out of the water last year. And I think that those students could have stayed and kept sharing their stories and learning from and with each other for a couple more days. There was so much in the room, and really being a fly on the wall, I felt very humbled and honored to be able to be even a small part of their journey and to learn from them
Yeah.
as they were talking about what we were doing right and what struggles they'd had and what it took to help them move through that. It's incredibly powerful to see them at the helm, whether it's on the stage, whether it's speaking to our legislators, whether it's mentoring other learners. But they really know, and every time I think that they're a part of the conversation is smarter.
Yeah, there's a great line. It's used often in the work I do in the criminal justice sector, which is nothing about us without us.
Hmm.
And, it's wonderful because the students are giving us things that we don't see because we don't wear their glasses all the time. And, just seeing some of the really basic challenges that they have opens up doors for us to do our jobs better and to provide those programs which really make good sense for us. I want to give you my magic wand. I do have it actually.
Ah,
I have my magic wand. I keep it on my desk. But I'll give you my magic wand for a second because before we let you go, I'm curious about what you wish for in 2025, 26. We're finishing up the year and going into 26. What is it that is on the top of that wish list for you when it comes to adult education?
I'm just excited about the partnerships that we're growing. I think that change can be hard, but I think that we're ready. We're ready for some growth and some, transformation. And I think that we have the tools, lead, equip, and empower. I think that we're bringing all of these together. We're bringing together the academic skills. We're bringing together the leadership skills. We're bringing together the employability skills and the technical occupational skills. And so I think what I'm seeing in the next coming few years coming up is us really taking that and uplifting
Mm,
our communities in some real powerful ways. And it's going to be done maybe with some partners that we hadn't connected with before. But I'm excited to shake their hands, and I'm excited to see my students in the hard hats as well as in the lab coats.
mm.
And in the classroom. I have learners who've gone on to be in classrooms. We have several programs, CDA, Parapro. I'm just excited to see people walking out of our programs knowing that they have a place here, and that they can get a job and keep a job and continue to provide for their families. So that's what I'm looking forward to in the upcoming years.
I love it. Well, that's a wonderful wish. It was you used your choice very well, your wish very well. And it is a pleasure, obviously it's a pleasure working with you. You've been a good friend through COABE and I appreciate you so much. And I want everybody to know that, there is you're doing great work in Connecticut, but the work you're doing nationally is setting the tone for a lot of people that are watching and learning and listening. And thank you for everything. So
Thank you, Jeff. It's always a pleasure.
awesome. We'll see you soon and feel better, okay?
Thank you.
There you go. So,
Take care.
take care. Next up, we have Daphne Greenberg is going to be joining us, and Daphne is the Regents Professor and Director of Adult Education, Adult Literacy, and at the Research Center for Georgia State University. Did I get that right?
Yes.
There you go. How are you? Nice
How
to
are
meet
you?
you. Nice
Same
to meet you.
here.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And I am I'm thrilled. We've had such just a wide variety of guests, and I love the fact and the reality of the fact that we in the work that I do center on research and really getting data together to show the great work of adult literacy and importance of education. It's just incredible. But can you share with us a little bit, Daphne, about yourself and about the great work that you do?
Sure. So I actually want to start off with a really exciting thing that I've started with the help of Sharon Bonet and just her whole team in COABE. So we're focusing on trying to get young researchers, and I don't necessarily mean young in terms of age, but the newbies, the graduate students who are focusing on adult education and want to become researchers or are on their way to becoming researchers. COABE does a really, really great job of getting practitioners involved, getting policymakers involved, and getting researchers involved. But one gap that both Sharon and I noticed was that we want to do more to get the next generation involved. There's a whole bunch of us who've been involved in adult education research for decades. A lot of us are retiring, and a whole bunch more are going to be retiring within the next decade. And we need newbies to take our places, so to speak. So I can stop there, or I can go on and tell you what we're doing.
Stop there for a
Yes.
second, and then
Yes.
I want to hit on that for a second, because honestly, I think there's a changing narrative across the country, and unfortunately, it used to be, at least in my mind, research was the top. Like, you needed research, and you needed to know that research was being done to prove everything that came after it. Like, all this great work was being done, but gosh, if you didn't have the research to really prove it out and support it, then, and now it seems like research has kind of taken a little bit further step down the ladder. And I was wondering if you could talk about the incentive, like, why is it so important that we need to highlight and center our work on in the research space, that lane?
Yeah, I mean, like, let's think about going to an auto mechanic. You wouldn't want to have you have some kind of problem with your car and you bring it to the auto mechanic. Would you want the auto mechanic to be doing something just because they thought, well, maybe it might help? I've never read about it helping. In fact, maybe I've read a lot of information saying it's not helping, but I'm going to try it anyway. It's that type of thing. Why would we want, in the educational realm, with teachers who are in K through 12, for them to just base it on either politics or beliefs or religion and anything that's not based on actual facts? Why would we want them to create a curriculum based on that? And the same thing, especially for our adult education teachers and policymakers. Yes, it boggles my mind how research is really being downplayed in terms of its importance.
Daphne, I want to call the elephant. There's an elephant in this room. It's a pretty big one, which is there's a lot of funding that's being cut for some of this research and these research projects out there. I know one of the things that we're doing is we're skirting it. We have a foundation that is now funding that research privately and not going through government dollars, and we're looking at other ways of funding these projects so that we can make sure that we're capturing the data and making smart decisions. What do you see looking forward into the future on some of this? Do you think there's a line where some of this research is going to come back and get funded again? Do you think private sector is going to start getting involved? What is it going to look like going forward?
Sure. I don't have a crystal ball, right? And as we see things change minute by minute. So I'm not going to project what's going to happen in the future, but I will focus on the here and now. I think it behooves all of us to start looking at other types of funding mechanisms. I know that at the university, we're definitely looking at foundations and other ways to try to fund the important research. I do have to say, though, that fortunately, there's a whole network of adult ed researchers that are involved with the CREATE network that was funded maybe by now is 5 years ago, 4 years ago, by the Institute of Educational Sciences, which is a federal agency in the Department of Education. And we are continuing with our work. We're now in our last year. And fortunately, we have been permitted to continue with our work. And
Great.
So I don't want to give the impression that all research is not being funded, but it's definitely getting harder and harder, and we need to be looking at other places.
Awesome. Can you talk to us a little about the project with COABE and what that
Yes.
looks like?
Yeah, so what we decided to do was Sharon was able to get a special price for graduate students in terms of registering for the conference. This year, we're going to have a special roundtable presentation and a session for graduate students to present their thoughts and research to everybody. We are also really trying to have a strong community for them. So we're going to have a luncheon session for them. We had one last year and it was very successful. And we've created a base camp for them so that they can electronically be connected. And our hope is to create a network for them so that there's a cohort of people out there that they can bounce off research ideas. And that's just so important. I know that in my work, it's very important to reach out and get support and help, and then connecting them to practitioners and is especially important because that research to practice connection, if you don't have that And that gets back to your earlier remark, why do all this research if it's not eventually going to impact the students that we serve?
Yeah, it's amazing. I know here at the work I do, every year I bring on, I don't even know, countless graduate students.
Yes.
And they're hungry. They want to get in. They want to dig their teeth into seeing what's going on the ground and then finding that project. And a lot of them are tied to, credit programs that they're working on and that type of thing. And I actually learn from my graduate students every year. We just brought on 3 new graduates from NYU, and
Uh-huh.
I learn more from our graduate students
Oh,
around the country than I do from anybody else because they're fresh eyes. They're looking at
yes.
things and they're curious. They're really
Yeah.
curious. Like, why is this so? This doesn't make
They make
sense?
you think, right?
They do. They do. It's awesome. So
Yes.
I'm looking forward to seeing this happen at COABE. And if you are a graduate student out there, or if you're a program and you're on a college campus or you're connected to a college campus, reach out and find out, if they have graduate students that are interested in participating in your program. And most importantly, we want to connect them to Daphne. We want them to be aware that these
Yeah.
program, the connection with COABE and certainly get them to that conference, right?
And in fact, if they go to the COABE website for the conference, there's a special submission that's still open, a special portal for graduate students to submit something for the roundtable. So it's not too late, but by the end of September, it will be too late. So they have a little bit of time.
I love it. It's awesome. Daphne, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate the work you're doing. It is really important work. I think the research end, we don't often give enough credit to, but we should know that there are thousands and thousands of graduate students out there that are hungry and that want to get involved. But I think we need to open the door for them. We need to
Yes.
get them involved.
Absolutely, because they're intimidated. Remember when I was a graduate student, I'd be so scared to go to a conference and meet people, and we need to be welcoming. And COABE is definitely a very welcoming and warm place for graduate students.
Awesome. Well, as we close out Adult
Yes.
Education and Family Literacy Week, I do want to thank you for bringing this. It's the first topic that we've had this week in our podcast about the importance of research and, more importantly, how we get graduate students into the loop
Yes.
and part of the project. So, thank you so much. We're looking forward to seeing you at COABE this coming year, and hopefully, we'll get the message out to all those graduate students around the country to be part of it and get involved. So
Yeah.
thank you so much and looking forward to a long partnership with you.
Yeah. And thank you and to everybody at COABE for the great work that you do.
You got it. Have a great day.
You too. Take
Up
care.
next on the podcast is one of my heroes in adult education, and he's also the vice president of the Coalition on Adult Basic Education, who I had the privilege of seeing in Washington this past week for Adult Education and Family Literacy Week. He's also the director of Ed for the state director for Kansas. Hector Martinez, how are you? Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Jeff. Nice to see you again.
It's great to see
And
you. How are you?
warm welcome.
I,
Very
I'm
good. I'm recovering, but I'm still working this day to close out our Family Literacy Week, and we are excited for all the things that are happening around our country. I've been receiving many emails. I've been receiving many things that programs across the states are doing for the family literacy. Some great videos, some great testimonials of students making it to the next adventure in their lives. And the more important, Jeff, I think you and I talk about this a little bit this week, is that we are moving and shaking communities. There are contributing to communities and transforming those communities.
Hector, you are so right. And we are making change happen at every level. And we saw it this week with students. How did it make you feel this week when you were when you were in Washington and you saw this room filled with advocates that were about to take on, for some, the first time going up onto Capitol Hill and meeting with legislators and talking to them. And then you're looking out over this room and realizing, gosh, I'm vice president of the organization that got this all together, and I was wondering, how did it make you feel?
I really feel empowered. I was talking yesterday in our podcast with Empower Learners, but that is what it made me keep moving forward. Jeff, in education, we're not going to be millionaires.
Hmm.
We are going to be servers, and we serve from the heart, and that's COABE. COABE is the voice of adult education, but is the heart of moving and shaking what we can do for students, and not only students, but I believe on our practitioners, our teachers, are the ones that they're the orchestra on for our song. Then when you asked me about that room full of advocates, um, I was nervous a little bit at the beginning because if it is your first time, is your first rodeo, you don't know how the things are gonna go. But then, after they complete the full day, more than 100 visits with the legislators and representatives, they become the experts on the field. They feel the professionalism. We didn't see or hear anyone talking, not supporting adult education. Everybody was full of energy to go back to their own centers, to their states, and continue the advocate. Uh, not only to their legislators in their state, but also they discovered that a very good partner in between us are the employers. And
Yeah.
now they need to advocate to the employers to see how they can contribute to that. Then it's great to see the transformation in one day. Now, if we put that in perspective, we've been doing that transformation across the nation, where adult education is not just to be social environment, but it is to transform to the workforce.
Yeah, for sure. And I think for the longest time, Hector, you and I've talked about this on other occasions as well, about the reality that, we do this because we want to get people smarter so that they can get that better career and get into the job market and really change the life of not only themselves, but their trajectory, their families. And education and workforce are now coming together for COABE. And we're leading the charge on this, and makes me so proud that we were nimble enough to kind of not only see this a few years ago by creating our workforce development committee on the board and pushing and advocating for this integration, but even looking at credentials and our partnerships with people like Dollar General from the employer end, but NCCER and getting those credentials in the hands of students that can really turn this into careers. I want to flip this for a second because there's somebody that we have not seen this week, and I want to give her just to you just of shout outs, and that's your partner in crime, Shaketa Thomas. Shaketa was a little bit under the weather this week and wasn't able to
Yep.
participate in a lot, but Shaketa is remarkable. She's been leading the COABE organization as president, and you guys are an amazing team together. I love to see you guys work, but you're also reshaping COABE, and COABE is going through this remarkable transformation with a new strategic plan, with new leadership positions that have been created. And how excited are you about all this?
Oh, I cannot tell you how excited we are at our organization. As you said, COABE was a totally different organization, even just 3 years ago, 2 years ago.
Mm.
Now it's a totally different organization than we think about 10 years ago when we have all the regional representatives. We have many different partners in crime, I will say, on the board. But now it's different. Now we are really focused on what strategically we need to do for the field. Is we are hearing the field, we are responding back to actions with actions, and we transform our board to meet those needs. Then yes, we have different, we don't have regional representatives anymore, but we have directors that they're going to be directly connected to the organizations. And also we have staff. The staff is very key into the organization. The staff is going to be dedicated to connect and communicate with the local and program organizations. And that is the key. I think the transformation is not only about transforming education, and you being in this Jeff, along with Anson Green, a long time ago, trying to bring this communication about get with the employer, speak the employer language. Then that's where we want to transform adult education. And I've been saying this all along this week. We may not be named adult education in the near future, but we're going to continue to do the services that adult education does. We're going to continue to provide high school diplomas. We're going to continue to provide English language acquisition. We're going to continue to provide civics engagement, civics education. We're going to provide digital literacy, family literacy components, all of those services that we provide. Then, but this is the transformation, and that's how the board is taking that feedback from the field, and that's where we're transforming to better serve the local programs, the instructors, and also the great close connection with the state directors.
So I love that part of it. I also, we're taking this all the way down. We looked at this as a national organization, which it is, and represented in every state. But now we're just not talking about it from the federal lens, but we're looking at the state lens and then the local lens, getting down into, your mayor's offices and, right into the field of, where the boots are on the ground, where all our students are. And that's one of the most important things that's happening is we're seeing the voices of our students come in. I mentioned to Kristin, Hempel was on just before you, we were talking about the fact that I was so proud of all the students and the student ambassadors that were at our conference this year. It was just remarkable to see it. And shout out to Aaron Verbornik, on staff on COABE. And I want to talk a second about the COABE staff, because I don't think we do enough of really highlighting how I call them just tremendously awesome. From Sharon Bonney, our president and CEO, to Michelle, our COO, and all the way down the line. Lindsay Lord's been on every day this week with helping me with this podcast. And we have people that are just attentive. Every time somebody in the field needs something, when they reach out to COABE, there is just no hesitancy. They're within minutes. They're given direction. They're given responses, and I just love it. It's remarkable. Shout out to all the COABE staff for all they did this week in helping put AEFL Week together and making sure that it was just a well-functioning machine. And also a shout out to Penn Hill Group, which is our lobbying organization that helps put the programming for the week together. But more importantly, that meet on a weekly or bi-weekly basis to talk about policy issues that we should be aware of and keep us really center stage of what's happening nationally. Hector, just closing us out for Adult Education and Family Literacy Week, I started the show off by saying I don't think that AEFL should be AEFL Week. I think it should be AEFL Day, every day. Like 365, we should be doing this work. And I think this is great that we're highlighting it for this week. But if for advocates that are out there, on Monday morning, what is it that you'd like to see happen?
Jeff, and that is a very interesting comment, because by talking to my staff and my team here in the state, we think that we need to celebrate this every day, as you said. And every day we have a graduate somewhere around the country. And that graduate is not just graduating as any other graduate. There is a story behind. There is always one in the nation that is going to get a new job, because you and I, we know that when they come in through the doors of adult education, there is a past that they need to remedy, or they need to overcome, or they need to do the next step. And we need to celebrate that. And we are not celebrating enough. We're not celebrating that story that is coming behind the graduates, or we're not celebrating enough for that person that they just got a promotion, or that person that just got a job because they are able to do and utilize a digital device through digital literacy. Or we don't celebrate enough because that person that just have their citizenship, or we don't celebrate enough because families get better grades because the parents are working with them through family literacy. We don't celebrate enough all of those events that happen every day. And then what I would like to invite all your listeners is that celebrate every single day, and ask your students, your participants, how you are doing with your celebration today. And also, Jeff, we need to celebrate that success to our instructors. Instructors are the ones that they're constructing this communities. They are the ones that they're putting their efforts. They're working part-time. They're not being paid enough. They are volunteers. They are putting their hearts in this. Then we need to celebrate them too. We need to go from the bottom to the top, because you know how that is for the state directors on this time that needs to eat all the news from one side and not able to communicate those in the better way to the basis. Then we need to celebrate every single one, from the student, the instructors, the directors, and the state directors as well. And once again, it is a joy to be in adult education. Is always, for me, is always been what is happening on the faces of those that they're getting a new job, those faces that they're getting an accomplishment. And it's just the beginning, because at this point, Jeff, I haven't seen one adult education student that complete those certifications or those success new employment and come back for more. They're eager to learn more. Then let's be there for them.
Absolutely. Hector, a big thank you to you for all the work that you do at COABE. And, we're looking forward to your leadership over the next few years with your organization. You've been a good friend. I've been on the board with you for, 8 or 9 years. And I cherish the time together, looking forward to working with you going forward. So thanks for taking some time with us this morning and helping us wrap up Adult Education and Family Literacy Week.
Thank you, Jeff. Like always, you're rising and shine on your podcast like all the time. Then for your listeners, then let's close this week with a big hug to everybody. But let's continue to have those success and share your success to us, because we want to share those on our platform. And COABE is always going to be the voice of adult education. Thank
I
you.
love it. I love it. Thanks, Hector. For us closing out today, I just want to thank everybody from Sharon Bonney, from our board of directors, Shaketa, Hector, the entire board of directors for COABE. Also want to give a shout out to Lindsay Lord, who was here every morning with me behind the scenes, making sure that everything was working well. And most importantly, I want to thank you, the listeners, and also all of our guests this week. You're really the backbone of what's making change happen across the country when it comes to adult education. And I was humbled to be able to talk with you, hear your stories, and we're going to keep this going. If you'd like to be on the Behind Every Employer podcast or one of our podcasts at COABE, just hit us up at info@coabe.org. Reach out to me, and we'd love to have you on our podcast to hear your stories. Send us an email, and wish everyone a good rest of your day. And thanks for being with us all week on the Rise and Shine podcast. We'll be back next year for sure, and appreciate all of you. Happy Adult Education and Family Literacy Week. And Lindsay, take us out of here.
You've been listening to the Rise and Shine podcast, brought to you by the Coalition on Adult Basic Education. We've been celebrating Adult Education and Family Literacy Week, and we'll do so for the next several days. We hope that you'll join us And if you have a story you'd like to share with us, you can reach us at info@coabe.org.